up, YouTube? It's Mia here in another edition of In the Kitchen. And tonight we're going to make some collard greens. A few of my subs and people friends and family I love, Miss Grace, shout out to you and Isabel, wanted me to make some collard greens. They said they love collard greens. They don't know how to cook them. So I'm going to try to walk through the steps that to do for collard greens tonight. So here's my collard greens. I have 3 bunches. Usually I make 4. And the first step is to take this little twisty tie off, of course, and load the sink up with some cold water and immerse the greens into the water. So we're going to do that step right now. Meanwhile, while I'm doing that step, okay, I got my pot of water here for the collard greens. And when you make greens, you have to have some kind of meat for your flavor. When I was growing up, they used ham hogs a lot. But the more healthier version, I use smoked turkey parts. So I have a smoked turkey neck, as you can see right here. I'm going to drop it in the pot of water. And you want to have that cooking at the very beginning stages of your greens. And it takes about maybe an hour to 2 hours in between there for that to cook down, for all the flavor to come out of that. So I'm getting that part started right now. With a piece of meat, cooking in there. It's a piece of turkey neck. Any kind of smoked turkey would do to give it the flavor. And you can see the seasoning on the wall of the pot. Something that's key to flavor is to have a piece of some kind of meat in your greens. I don't use hog maw, but I grew up on hog maw as a pork. I prefer to use a cleaner version of the meat, a little more healthier, so that's why I use a smoked turkey part. So that's been cooking for at least an hour. The water and the juice that's in there is flavored from that turkey meat. Okay, we have immersed the greens in the water. Some people use dishwashing liquid, like a little drop, to wash the greens, or you could use just regular salt, table salt. These greens are pretty clean, so I don't think I need to use anything this evening to wash them. So to make sure they're nice and clean and that there's no bugs or dirt or grit. If they're really, really dirty, I would recommend a little bit of dishwashing liquid. And then you just snap the leaf off of the stalk as much as possible. You want less stalk as possible, more leaf. So you just pop it and pinch it that way, like so. So you get to about right there and snap it. And that's what your leaf looks like. Beautiful. And just drop it over in the sink so you're completely done with that step. One also key feature is take an onion. It could be white or yellow. And I also put that in a pot with the juice that's already been cooking down from that meat. The fresh onion gives a little bit better aromatics and flavor than putting some kind of dry seasoning onion powder or onion substitute. So we're going to drop this, like almost a quarter of an onion fresh into the pot with the turkey meat that's been cooking down for the aromatics and also for the flavor.
Yeah, I can't wait for these greens to be done. What's that on your wrist right there?
Oh, we got these cool little not CrossFit balance bands that say you're welcome on there. And normally I don't wear these kind of bands, but you gave this to me and it was kind of pink and black, kind of feminine. So I decided to put it on. And what's very interesting about this balance band is it really did something, because I've been so motivated and pumped after work and everything today. So I'm really excited and thankful, Not CrossFit, for this wonderful band you sent to us.
Check out Not CrossFit. Cool channel.
I'm still just snapping the greens, as you see here, just to give you an idea of what it looks like. Of course, the stalks you don't need. You just toss those. Like I said, these greens are pretty clean, so I didn't need to put any kind of soap on them. And also, the key to making greens and the flavoring of it is not to put too much water in the pot, because your green leafy vegetables hold water, so they're going to cook the water out of them while they're cooking in the pot. So when we move over to putting these into the pot of water with the flavor and seasoning in them, I'm going to show you how you balance that out as well. So we gathered up a few of our leaves after we picked them and cleaned them. And that's about 4 here together. I fold them like so. And you can roll it. And then you put it on your cutting board. Not the right knife. And you're going to just chop it. And you chop it to your liking. I can go across this one more time. Bam. Cut them all up like that. Put them in a bowl.
That's how you get them to look like that.
And there you go. The greens are all chopped. We'll stay tuned for the next part. Another thing about these greens is a distant cousin to kale. So greens are pretty healthy to eat. And because they are, I try to keep them in the healthiest form I can. That's one reason why I use the turkey meat instead of any pork in the greens. Also, another key to the greens being really tasty is, like I said, not so much water. So what I would do for a beginner or a first timer that haven't made greens before, this pot of water, I would take some of the broth out. Can't find my ladle. This is dangerous, so don't try this at home. But I'm going to scoop some of the broth out of the pot and leave it in here. And the reason why I do this is because this water from the pot has the flavor that you want the greens to have already in it. So if you have to add additional water after the greens are in there, at least you're using flavored water, and it's already hot, and also it's going to retain the flavor for the greens, and it helps you season them properly if there was too much water in the pot. Had you not known that, if you had if you had 6 bunches of greens or 4 bunches of greens, this is a good indicator to make it safe for seasoning. Okay, so we're going to add the greens to our water now. And like I said before, these greens are going to cook down, and some of the water in the greens is going to make more water. So what we're going to do is put these greens in here. And as I can see, there's no water by me pushing on it, which I wouldn't say that was safe either, but pushing down on it, we can add the rest of this broth. So I'm going to go ahead and add some more of this broth on top of the greens here. And it looks like I did it perfectly. So we're going to let that cook down a little bit there and see what happens as far as the water. We might have to add some more water, but we'll wait and see. I think my intuition as I measured properly. Okay, as you can see, I have pushed the greens down in the broth that I already had prepared. And that's kind of how much water. You don't want more than that over the greens. Like I said, it's going to cook down a little more. But as you can see, I eyeballed it pretty good, where the greens are just covering it. We're going to let those simmer a little more, and then we're going to season them a little more. Stay tuned. Okay, the greens have been cooking for about 20 minutes. You want to cook them low and slow, because that makes them tender. You don't want any tough greens. So low and slow keeps the texture tender. Now this is what makes your greens soul. This puts the soul into the greens, makes it soul food. Gotta have your Lori seasoned salt, and you gotta have some bouillon cubes, chicken flavor. Now, I've been doing this for a while, so I can kind of eyeball how much water is in that pot. But it says 1 cube per 2 cups. So we're going to take about 3 or 4 of these out of here. Like such. It's like, oh my gosh. This is what makes the greens soulful. And also, some people will say this is not healthy. But this is what gives it the flavor. So we're going to drop these in this pot while the greens are cooking. Just drop them in there. This is the key to the flavor. So silence in there. And you're gonna stir those in. I'm gonna use 3 for now, just to start. I'm gonna stir those in. They're gonna cook down in the greens, and that's what's gonna give it a lot of its flavor, along with the Lori seasoned salt. So let it cook down slow and slow here with those bouillon cubes, chicken flavor in there for another 20 minutes or so, and then we'll come check on it and taste it. A total of 40 minutes into the greens cooking now. They're down pretty low. The reason why I come to check back on them after putting the bouillon cubes in there is so you can see how the seasoning is set in. So you just take a little piece and taste it. Pretty good. It has a flavor already that I like, so I'm not going to add that 4th bouillon cube that I had sitting there. I'm not going to add that 4th one. I'll just keep it with the 3. And as you notice, look at the piece of turkey neck that's been in there. It's cooked down nicely. See that? That's how the meat's supposed to look when it cooks down. You can also eat some of that too. It's really good. But it's hot. Whoa. I gotta take a piece out of there. Put it over there. Anywho, another reason why you taste the greens, because greens are bitter. Kale is bitter and so are your collard greens. Usually I put sugar in my greens to get that bitterness out. That's why it's important to taste it. But these greens are not that bitter, so I'm not going to add any sugar today. But sugar could be a secret ingredient or key to why your greens taste good. These are not very bitter, like I said. They're good. Maybe. I changed my mind. It's going to add a little bit still. Just to be on the safe side. Put like about almost a tablespoon, or a little bit of half a tablespoon of sugar in there. And I'm going to add some seasoned salt. Maybe 2 tablespoons of seasoned salt. So, I'm going to let that cook down, seasoned salt, sugar, and check on these greens again in a few minutes, see how they taste. The tenderness is to your liking. You don't have to cook your greens very hard. You don't want to cook all the flavor and make them all slick. You don't want them all slimy. But you want the texture to be just right. So, to your liking. Hi. Our greens have been cooking for about an hour now. All the steps that we've done already. And we can look over here in this pot. And they look fantabulous in there. And it smells really good in here. If you can smell how good it smells in here. But they're done. And we're going to enjoy these greens. And I hope you are able to make this dish and enjoy your greens also. This is Mia in the kitchen making collard greens. We love living. And I know you do too.
Mamma mia.